That question of what we are going to do in the future around vocations and priesthood is one of the really big questions we have to try and engage with. I don't know the answers here, simply being honest with you, Wendy. I haven't got the answers to that. And who knows what the Spirit can bring to the life of the church.
Hello and welcome to The Way. I'm Wendy Grace, and joined with me in studio I have Bishop Paul Dempsey, who recently became an auxiliary bishop in Dublin. So we're going to be hearing a little bit about his experience over the last number of months and looking towards the future, some of the challenges and indeed opportunities in the diocese. It's great to have you with us, Bishop Paul.
Lovely to be with you, Wendy.
Maybe first of all explain, what's an auxiliary bishop? What do you do?
Yeah, it's a good question, and a lot of people do ask me that, Wendy. An auxiliary bishop works, I suppose, assists the Archbishop. In our context here in Dublin, we have Archbishop Dermot Farrell. He's the man who's ultimately responsible for the Archdiocese of Dublin. And my role, in a sense, is to support him in the administrative and pastoral, I suppose, running of the diocese. Because obviously, as you know, Dublin is enormous. It's a huge diocese. I think it's about 1.2 million people and 198 parishes. So it's quite a burden. So my job is to support him and the priests in their role in the diocese.
I imagine it's a real positive. You came from O'Connery, coming from that kind of pastoral role, working on the ground, to then come into this role. How has that helped you?
Yeah, well, most of my life was working as a priest in a parish. When I did work a little bit in communications and youth ministry and vocations work. But about 5 years ago, I was appointed as Bishop of O'Connery in the west of Ireland, covering a little bit of Mayo, Sligo and a small bit of Roscommon. It was something I wasn't expecting or wanting, but it has been a lovely experience serving the people and priests of a Conry diocese in the west of Ireland. But as you're probably aware, there's a reconfiguration of dioceses happening in Ireland at the moment. It's begun now in the west of Ireland. And the diocese I was in, Conry and Elphin, are actually going to be united under one bishop now, Bishop Kevin Dorn, very shortly. And out of that reconfiguration, I've come to Dublin as an auxiliary bishop. And yeah, it's a hugely different context. Ireland is a small country, as you know, but culturally it's very different from the west to the east. Originally, I'm Kildare-Loughlin priest, so I was serving as parish priest of Newbridge. So a lot of people say it was a big change going from O'Connery to Dublin, which it was, but it was also a very big change going from Newbridge to O'Connery. But I suppose our life is about that. It's about offering ourselves in service to the Lord and to his people, wherever we might be called. And sometimes maybe a change is good too. It's a new challenge and it keeps you alert. So it has been a very positive I suppose, change in my own life. As I say, it's something new and indeed very, very challenging, Dublin.
And speaking of challenges and changes, obviously there's a lot of that, and particularly with such a big diocese in Dublin. What are the challenges that you're seeing? And then we'll move on to the opportunities and signs of hope.
Yeah, well, I'd say, first of all, there's been a lovely welcome in Dublin, Wendy, from people and priests. They've been most gracious, most welcoming to me over the last few months. I only started in Dublin last May, so I'm not even a year yet in the diocese. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is get around to as many parishes as I can. I suppose to see what's going on, to meet priests, to meet people, which has been a really positive experience. So generally speaking, I'm in different parishes every weekend and different functions and so on. Starting confirmations now very shortly as well in the diocese. So that'll be a nice experience, getting around meeting young people and their families, and indeed the teachers and the priests as well. So that's kind of what I'm at this moment in time. What I've found is that actually there are very positive things happening in Dublin. Now it's huge. There are 198 parishes, I was saying, in Dublin. And one of the areas that Archbishop Farrell has initiated since he became Archbishop is this Building Hope project. And what we're trying to do is that with all of those parishes, the 198 parishes, we've reduced them down to maybe 53 areas. So practically speaking, it's maybe 3 or 4 parishes working together to try and share resources. And what I mean by resources is not just maybe financial, it's more actually people's resources than that. How can we come together to take more responsibility for our parishes, for our church in Dublin, and to share those resources? And in a sense, a renewal comes from that. And as I go around Dublin and going into different parishes and so on, like, I'm finding people are conscious that, yeah, they are partnered now with other parishes, but it takes time. and but we're on this journey, and I think that's going to be a very positive thing. Um, One of the questions I think any priest or bishop is also asked about is in relation to youth, young people. Um, and again, going around Dublin, I've come across a lot of very positive initiatives around young people. In a number of, I say, Rathmines have a lovely youth group there. I've been in Inchicore, great youth ministry going on there. The Mission and Ministry Office in the diocese have a youth leadership program running at the moment, trying to train young people and not so young people in the area of leadership around youth ministry.
So that's enabling them to reach out, because
Exactly.
young people reach young people, don't they? That's the best way
Absolutely.
to do it. Yeah.
And the point is, and I've worked in youth ministry myself down through the years when I was in Kildare and Loughlin, sometimes youth ministry, we can have events, which is very important. It's lovely. Say, I've been at 4 World Youth Days and so on in my own time, and it's wonderful to bring young people from Ireland to a World Youth Day event where they see the bigger picture of what is the church. And that's really, really important. It's not just about Ireland. We're part of something global, far bigger than ourselves. But youth ministry can't just be reduced to events. It's about maybe engaging with the bigger questions that young people have, that search that's going on. And I think the youth leadership program is trying to touch into that. And again, in relation to that, I've been in parishes like of University Church here in Dublin, St. Stephen's Green, celebrated Mass there not so long ago. And, the congregation there was actually quite a lot of young people present.
Yeah, it reminds me of my days working in the city centre.
Yeah,
I'd go
yeah,
at lunchtime, and there's a definite, and certainly with the many conversations I've had with those with young people and youth ministry, there is a real hunger and curiosity there. And perhaps that's an opportunity for a younger generation that mightn't know a lot about their faith, but they're actually really open to it, and it's trying to tap into that.
Yeah, and I think those questions are there, and I think we owe it to them to engage with those questions, and I think that's an exciting time in the life of the diocese and indeed in the life of the Irish Church to engage with those questions. It's different from the past where you kind of just did what you were told or whatever, and maybe we didn't engage with the questions that young people had. But I think we're being challenged now as leadership in the Church to open ourselves up to those questions and to listen, as we're in the synodal journey, but to listen to young people and where they're at. And I sense that's going on in Dublin at the moment, Now, it's a little bit like, again, Pope Francis' idea of the field hospital image of the church. This is not all neat and tidy or anything like that. It's, it's the reality of the church and where we're at and the culture where we're at the moment. But the important thing is that we're engaging with it. And I see that happening in Dublin, which is a very positive thing.
One of the things I've seen, certainly in my own parish, is the vibrancy that the multiculturalism of Ireland has brought, and just being able to just engage in that beautiful melting pot and the energy that different kind of cultures and people from different countries have brought. Have you seen that across Dublin?
Very much, as I was saying, Wendy, going around to the various parishes, one of the things I've really noticed that's very, very noticeable in parishes is the new Irish who have come to live in Ireland. It's a huge feature of the life of the diocese. They're bringing new energy and life to so many parishes. And, of recent times, I've been with the Brazilian community. I've been with the Filipino community. I've been with the Indian community. And, they are integrating very well into parishes. And I think, the local parish community are delighted to have the presence of so many people from different cultures and countries present with us. And I think there's an important witness in that in our country today too. The richness and the positivity that people from other places are bringing to us, not just as a church, but as a culture and as an island of Ireland. I think, they're bringing so much positivity to us. So I think there are great seeds of hope there. And I'm getting great energy from meeting people from different countries in different parishes. And I think they have so much to give, not only now, but into the future of the diocese and the church as well in Ireland.
Just finally to ask you, Bishop Paul, it's great to hear about seeds of hope, but obviously there's challenges. Probably one of the biggest ones is the fact that you have less priests or priests that are aging. Obviously, it's great to have more lay people involved, and that's a big part of this synod as well. But is there a kind of path ahead? I often think, in times gone by, Irish priests and religious and sisters, we were the missionaries that were sent out. Is it just now maybe part of God's plan that the role has reversed and missionaries will come here? Or what do you think might the future look like?
Yeah, well, part of the reality, and I think this is not only for Dublin, it's probably for every diocese across the country. We have priests from different countries and cultures who are ministering in our diocese, and that's bringing a great richness as well, because we're part of a global church. So I think we can learn a lot from priests from different countries and cultures as well. Um, However, that's not just the solution to the challenge at the moment. We have to continue, I think, to pray for vocations and to encourage vocations, um, but it is a huge challenge, as we know. We have two seminarians in Dublin Diocese at the moment, for a diocese of over 1 million people. So you can obviously see the challenge there. I'm also conscious of the generosity of priests that I meet in Dublin, what they're taking on. But we have to be conscious that you can't keep adding on maybe extra parishes onto priests as they are aging. That's not fair. And we don't do it in maybe other professions. I'm not saying that the priesthood is a profession,
No, but
but,
there's very few
yeah,
other people who'd be working
absolutely.
into their 80s or their 90s.
Indeed, and literally there are priests working in their 80s and 90s in our diocese and other dioceses across the country. It's a huge question that, as I say, we are working obviously on lay ministry and supporting priests in their ministry. But that question of what we are going to do in the future around vocations and priesthood is one of the really big questions we have to try and engage with. I don't know the answers here, simply being honest with you, Wendy. I haven't got the answers to that. And who knows what the Spirit can bring to the life of the church. The church is obviously over 2,000 years old and it goes through all sorts of phases and so on. And I have to say myself, Wendy, I love being a priest. And I've loved 28 years, I think, a priest this year. And, the variety and the privilege it is to serve people in the priesthood. And perhaps we need to get that across more too. Some people say, there are issues like maybe celibacy that maybe discourage guys from going on for the priesthood or whatever. And they might think it's a lonely life or something. Like with any life, there can be moments of loneliness. I know married couples can experience loneliness maybe.
My brother spends an afternoon in my house and he says, thank God I'm a priest.
Indeed. So I think it's how we portray ourselves as priests too. Of course there are burdens in the priesthood. There's burdens in everybody's life. Like I have very good friends of mine who are married and have kids. They have burdens and challenges in their life too. But the variety of life as a priest in a parish and in ministry is something really, really positive, and it's a great privilege to journey with people in the great joys of life and indeed in the sorrows as well. So I think we need, it's like Pope Francis' model of being a Christian is to be a person of joy. And I think if we can witness more to that, who knows where the Spirit can take us into the future. But it is a huge challenge and one that we're going to have to reflect on and engage with far more into the future.
Well, thanks so much, Bishop Paul, for being with us today. It's great to hear just about the work you've been doing and the seeds of hope as well. Thanks for being with us.
Lovely.
And thank you for being with us on The Way today.